Hi everyone, Jenna83 here, and welcome to Hack the Plane. This is the show where I am documenting my personal journey to become the hacker I've always wanted to be, the hobbyist hacker I've always wanted to be. And today we are going to be building a virtual hacking lab using Kali Linux and VirtualBox. So first off, what is VirtualBox? VirtualBox lets you virtually replicate a computer. If you've ever done video game emulation, you kind of already know what's going on. But this will let us build a virtual computer inside of another computer. So right now, my normal daily driving computer is a Windows 11 system. And Windows is a good operating system. I do love Windows. Linux is the best one to use if you are doing actual hacking. Excuse me. And Kali Linux is specifically optimized for hackers. So, what are we going to do? We are going to go ahead and we're going to download the software we need. But before you do any of that, you reboot your computer into BIOS and make sure virtualization is turned on. If you have an AMD or an Intel system, they're called little different things, so Google it for your system, for your chipset, and turn it on. And then once you get back into your computer, you're going to need to go download two pieces of software. VirtualBox for your operating system. And that's going to be the operating system that's currently running on your computer, not the Linux one, unless you're running Linux as a daily driver. But it's going to be the OS of your host system, not the OS of the one you're going to be running inside of it, called the guest system. So let's go ahead. We're going to pull up the websites that we need. And that's going to be... This is the first site. This is virtualbox.org. You're going to come here. Big blue download button right here on the side. And then you're going to install it. Select the one for your system. I'm running Windows. And we'll go ahead and download it. I've already done that. Once it's downloaded, you're going to go ahead and install it. We're not going to fire it up quite yet. Then you're going to go get Kali. Kali.org, that's the site right here. Come up here at the top where it says Get Kali. Now, since we're going to be installing to a virtual machine, we're going to grab the virtual machine's image, so click right here. And then we're going to grab the one for VirtualBox. Get the one from the top row, not the weak link. Now, this will be the best way to install it in VirtualBox. You could also grab it, just uninstall it. This is good if you want to flash it onto a USB drive and then install it directly on the bare metal. There is also the live version, and I'm using this links here at the top. That's if you want to flash it to a USB drive and then just run it off the USB drive, not installing anything permanently to the computer. I also do sometimes use the live version in VirtualBox. If I just want a machine that as soon as I reboot it, it wipes itself back to its original settings. The installed version and the pre-built virtual machine versions will persist between boots. Now, while you are on, double check something. The installer and the live version, there is a recommended one, but there isn't everything if you want everything to be pre-installed on it versus the what they're calling the point release version, which is going to have all the common stuff, but some things you may have to run an app install to actually grab it off of their online repos and install it. So go with whatever you want. I go with the everything, but that's just me. So once we go ahead and get everything downloaded, and just to be clear on this one, for the sake of this conversation, we are going to go with the pre-built VM and then VirtualBox, this button right here where my mouse is. Okay, so once you do that, we get VirtualBox installed, just run its installer, and that will bring us to, move that out of our way. You can see I've already installed that. I've even got a OS already installed. I do have a Kali Live Boot. This is actually the Everything Live Boot already installed. But we're going to go ahead and create a new one. So the VirtualBox image came in a zip file. Unzip that. Remember where you left it. And then we're going to hit Add. We're going to go find that VirtualBox image folder that we unzipped it to. I know for me it's in ISOs. And we are going to want to select the Xbox, the VBox image. There is actually two files in this folder. This is the smaller one. It's the one we want for this. Nice. Now we're going to go into, now once it's created, we're going to go into settings. We are going to change a few things. So under General, Advanced, make sure Shared Clipboard and Drag and Drop are bidirectional. Come into Description. You're going to want to know the default password and username they've set up, Kali. Then we're going to go to System. Now they default at 2 gigs of RAM. I'm going to give it something in the 8,000s. Okay. Double check all these other settings. It's all good. Go to processor. They give 2 processor cores. I'm going to bump that up to 4. You can change these later, just as long as the machine's not running. Acceleration. Display. Make sure it's set to maximum video memory. If you want to have more than one monitor, you can select that here. I'm not a fan. Okay, why won't it go? For virtual machines, I find one monitor works fine for me. And make sure that extended features 3D acceleration is disabled. I'm going to go to storage. You can see it's already attached to the hard drive. Audio should all be set. Network. We're going to go ahead and change adapter 1 will be set to NAT. We're also going to set up an adapter 2. And we're going to set that to internal. Now, adapter 1 will give us access to the internet itself, because it's just going to NAT directly to my home network and grab an IP address giving me access to the internet. But when we're actually running other OSs, especially some of the ones that have vulnerabilities, which we're going to be installing in the lab later, we're not going to want this. We can either come in here and just mark as not attached, which is the same as pulling a cord on the out of your network adapter. You could disable it, but you have to do that between boots. So ports we're not going to mess with. USB controller, they have it set to 1.1. I'm going to switch that to 2. I don't really have a need to pass 3 along. Folders, user interface, really none of that's what we need, so we hit OK. Now we can go ahead, double click it. It'll take a second to boot. Close the little sidebar out. Now it's saying that I am trying to. So I clicked inside the window. It's trying to capture my keyboard and mouse. It's only going to need to do that during the very beginning of it. So if this does happen, you can use the right control is the default button, the host key to release your mouse. So right now it is captured, so Kali has control of my mouse keyboard. If I hit control, it'll give it back to me. Right control, and now I can move it outside. Okay, now once we get into the actual desktop, it's gonna be a lot more smooth, seamless, and we won't have to worry about that. So now it's gonna ask us for a login. We looked that up earlier. It's Kali. Hit login, and now we have in just a couple of minutes a working Kali Linux install. There you go. Nice. This little sidebar that opens, whenever you get that, you can just close that out. Let's go ahead and full screen this. And that, okay. I'm going to change that desktop background Okay. There we go. So we now have a fully working Linux system. Okay. So let's go ahead. Open up a shell. And let's do if sudo if config. It's going to ask us for a password. It's going to be Kali again. Okay. So we see Ethernet 0. This is actually connected to my home network. Ethernet 1. This should be set to our internal one. That's really going to be it. Okay. So can we ping out to the internet? Let's ping google.com and reply. There we go. That. Now if we open up the menu, which is here, this blue button in the top corner, we can see we've already got a whole laundry list of tools pre-installed for us to use, and we're going to learn all these tools during our, maybe not all the tools, but most of these tools during our adventure. There we go. Out of curiosity, real quick. H. Okay. So there we go. We now have a working system. What's nice about this one, create a folder, we're going to just call it test. There in the middle of our desktop. If folks making noise, excuse me. Now, if we go ahead and reboot our system, which I can do from this power button here in the top right corner, that test file should persist between boots, if I recall. I'll be honest, I generally do live boots, where every time you reboot the OS, it wipes everything clean. That is my preferred way of doing it. This is a good way too. And I will show you in just a second how we do the setup live boot. And there we go. Okay, and see, our file is still here. It is persisted between the boots, and that is valuable. So, I'm just going to shut this down. I'm going to do it the hard way. Okay, so, actually, before saving. Now, I showed you already. You can come up to this power button and shut it down. This is the controls the OS gives you to reboot, shut down. But if I actually come up here and close out the virtual machine, it'll give me a few options. Save the machine state is like, kind of, Windows would call it hibernate, but think with this, but at a more hardware level. I use this for if I want to be able to pause what I'm doing in a live boot and come back to it. Save machine state's nice. Send the shutdown signal, that'd be like just tapping the hardware power button on your computer and having it tell the OS, hey, time to shut down. And then power off the machine is just a hard power shutdown. That's the worst way you can do it. So we will go ahead and shut this down correctly. Shut down. Okay. I hit the wrong button the first time. Okay. Then. Hey, come here. Come here, kitty. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay. So, that is the easiest way to set up VirtualBox to run Kali. And you have persistence between sessions. Now, if you want to go ahead and do a live boot one, that's easy too. This time, instead of doing add, we're going to create a new one, because we're going to create this from scratch. We're going to name it Kali Live. Now, I won't keep this after the show. I will remove this one because, as you can see, I've already got Lab Kali Live Boot installed. Okay. So our folders, this is where it's going to live. Everything's going to live. We didn't have to set it last time. We are going to have to set it this time, though. So, other, and I do have a folder on my hobbies drive just for this stuff. So there it is. Okay, now the ISO image. Okay, now, you want to make sure for this you grab one of the live versions. I grabbed two of them. As you see, I have live and I have live everything. These are two very different sized files. Live everything is everything that they offer. All the software is installed, and you don't need to fetch anything up from the internet, other than updates, I guess. Whereas the regular live version, which is a much smaller, 10 gig smaller file, that one's going to have all the popular stuff, but you may have things where you will need to go online to install. And remember, anything you install or update will not persist between boots. So, I'm going to go with everything. Just like that. Now, down here we're going to skip the unattended installation because we're not going to install this. We're going to go to hardware and we're going to go ahead and set our RAM. Okay, now we have 4 processors again. Hard disk, we're going to come down here and this time we're going to say, do not add a virtual hard disk. We're not going to need one. We're booting from the image. It will live the whole time in RAM. Thinking about that, let's give it a little extra RAM. That works. Okay. We're going to hit finish. We're going to now right click on it. We're going to go back into settings. We're going to come in here, remove floppy, processor, enable PAE NX, acceleration, display, all the video memory, make sure 3D acceleration's off. Storage, you can see we have an IDE controller on this virtual machine we're building and a SATA controller. SATA controller has nothing attached to it because there is no hard drive installed. The IDE controller is our CD-ROM, or our virtual CD-ROM, which we've already loaded our ISO image into it. So that's how it sees the drive. And this option here, live CD DVD, we're going to go ahead and check that. Audio, we can leave it alone. Network, we're going to set it the same, so that here. Second adapter will be host only. Actually, no. I'm going to leave it, and then I'll just change what it's attached to. Between uses. Serial ports we're going to leave. USB, I like it again, 2. Now, something we also had set up last time that we checked. And it should have been, where was that option again? And it was these two options here, shared clipboard and drag and drop. I think we checked those up. We should have checked those on the last one. Well, those were enabled. We're going to have, or as bidirectional, we're going to have them disabled. That is extra drivers that we are not going to be installing. But that does let you move things between the clipboard and drag and drop files and stuff between the virtual machine and the host machine. We're not going to need that. If you really do need to move things between your virtual machine and your host machine in this setup, come down to USB, add a filter, and honestly use a filter here to pass you a USB thumb drive across. That's how I usually do it. And while I'm thinking about it, I should change how I'm going to do networking for these upcoming labs. Oh, okay, there. Alright. Now, we've got it. We boot up. And I just double clicked on that over here. That's how I booted that up. Yeah, capture, okay. So that's it. You just hit enter on that screen. Right control and smoke break while it boots. There we go. And now we're booted. We're ready to go. We can even go ahead and ping Google again. There it is. Awesome. Now, if I create an empty file on this one here, we're going to put a file right there. We'll even go ahead and change our desktop settings to something. Apparently they did not give me an option. No, they're there. They're just you know what? That's kind of a... No, that's... they got a lot here. Okay. Alright, that's an oldie but goodie. Okay, so we customized our background. We created a file somewhere, I think. Create, there it is. Awesome. Now what happens when we reboot it? Well, I think I've already told you. We're going to lose all that. But let's just see it in action here, okay? Yes, you can hit the do not show this message again. I've not disabled that for my own personal reasons. Alright, now we do it over here. We take a look at our channel. How about that? Okay. Now this will boot a little slower because it's got to read it from the ISO image every time. It's just like as if it was being actually burned on an actual CD and ran from your CD drive, or, well, I guess these days you would have flashed it to a USB drive and then booted from the drive. And you see it has reset itself back to a fresh install every time we boot the system. And that is how we're going to set up our hacking lab. We will go ahead and install OSs that are with vulnerabilities that we will then target. Metasploitable is going to be one of the first ones we're going to do that with. Actually, let me see real quick. Do I actually pull the files I would need? You know what? I think I got the files. Want to do it? Should we do it? Let's install Metasploitable. Okay. Metasploitable is a Linux-based system that is got vulnerabilities in that we can exploit. I am going to come here. This is the Kali Live we just built. I am going to remove it and delete all the files. Did I just do what I think I just did? I think I did. Hold on one second. No, okay, I did not accidentally just delete the ice out of there. I did that in a practice earlier. So we are going to go ahead and add another operating system. We're going to do it here. No, we do this way, don't we? spelled right, because it will be that way forever if it's not. Yeah. We'll see. That one. Okay. So we name our lab, our install. When our virtual machine folder, we're not going to set an ISO this time. Type will be Linux, other 64-bit. Okay, edit and install we're not going to be doing. Hardware, I'll give it 4,000 and change. Processors, I'll give it 2. Doesn't need a lot, actually. Okay, so we are going to use an existing hard drive. I'm pretty sure that's how this is done. Add. ISO, small. And we're going to add the VMDK. We're going to select it here. We're going to hit finish. Settings. System. Doesn't need a floppy drive. Processor. Enable. Yep. It'll be a lot like it. I'm going to give it 64 gigs of RAM. I don't think it really needs any video memory. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to worry about it. We don't need 3D acceleration. We'll pretty much leave all of these other ones, except we're going to go down to network adapter 1 to that internal network. Okay. We hit OK. Second boot. Okay, now we have Metasploitable going. Okay, so we're going to log in, and the login for this one is msfadmin, and the password is going to be the same, msfadmin. There we go. Okay. Uptime. Yeah, so we are up right now. There we go. We're going to go to IF. Fig. And what we're looking for here is our IP address. Which we're going to have right here. Cool. So let's see if we can ping this one from the other one. Okay. So we're going to fire up our live boot system. Why did I go there? So we have Metasploitable here on the right. And this is where it gets cool. This is where it's cool because we now have Kali Linux, that's the window on the left, and we have a system we're going to be targeting on the right. So, gonna pause since I had to. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's now up. So we're going to try to ping. Oh, I'm not good. Okay. FE80 colon A0. FE80 colon A0 colon 27FF FE06 No. Okay. How did we screw up? Where did we screw up? You know what? There's an easy way to solve this. This is not a great way to solve it, but this is an easy way to solve it. We're going to actually power both of these machines off. And we're going to go to VirtualBox. Go into our settings, network. Let's go ahead and just set NAT. It's not best practice, so that means these machines are going to be exposed to the internet, and there are vulnerabilities, but since we're not going to be running very often or very long, just when we're practicing, it's a risk I'm willing to take here. So that one. We'll go ahead and hit live boot. And all that boots. Let me go make that change to all the others now. So network, NAT. That means adapter 2 is not needed anymore. Our virtual image, Metasploitable. We're going to go ahead and change its settings also. Network. NAT. Okay. We'll boot that one up also. Yep, message again. So we're going to give them a second for everything to boot. Okay. So we'll go ahead, open a shell on this one. Well, that loads. We're going to Metasploitable again, MSF admin, MSF add, ADMIN, MSF admin, sudo if config, MSF admin. There we go, and there we have it. 10.0.2.15. See it right here. That's the IP address that we use. So we're gonna come into here. We're gonna go ping 10.0.0.215, and we get a reply. Cool. Now, if we take this machine down, we're just gonna power off the machine. Stop getting a reply. I screwed up. And then that. Okay, where did I screw up? This is why we make these videos. This is a learning curve for me. Okay. Give me a second. We're in luck. Okay. I've done this before, and I'm drawing a blank as to where I'm screwing this up. So I'm quickly referring to the VirtualBox documentation here for, I'm pretty sure my issue is going to be in the networking. Where are you? Virtual networking. Here we are. And I know there's somebody out there watching this that's looking at it and knows exactly what I'm doing wrong, and my brain is not finding it. Network. Which chapter is it? Okay, I went to tools. That's how I got here. Okay. We're just gonna create a NAT network with an IP address prefix properties. This is where we screwed up. Okay. Wiped everything when I started setting up this. We will make our block here 20 block. Okay. Settings. We're gonna not attached. NAT network. Okay, now we set the name. There. NAT network. Okay. So we do have it. Okay, so sudo ifconfig eth0. Yeah, we will do a video in the near future, just basic how to use Linux. And all the stuff I'm doing here will make more sense when we get to that point. Okay, ETH0 now has a 20 IP address. And if we're right over here on MSF admin, MSF admin, IF config. Okay. So here we are, 20.0.2.4 on Metasploitable, that's the one on the right, and 20.0.2.5 is Kali. Now, we should be able to ping. .2.4. And these are times that are much more what I would have expected. Okay, now, if we go ahead and just power off the machine, this is just pulling the power. And now, it's no longer responding to our pings. And if we come back in here, turn it back on, as soon as it boots up, we should start getting pings back. Assuming it's the same IP address. Okay, now we start to see some of the pings that we've been sending out starting to expire. And there it is. It is now reconnected to the network. We now have a working hacking lab. There we go. It's not that difficult, and honestly, I'm just consulting the documentation on my other screen for when I ran to that networking thing. But now we know what to do, and I will be updating the documentation on my Hack the Planet wiki on how to install Kali into a virtual lab. So that's awesome. And I think this is a point where I'm going to go ahead and call it quits. For the night, we got quite a bit done there, and I'm very happy with what we got. We have two different versions of Kali. One is a live boot, one's a more persistent version that is optimized specifically for VirtualBox, and we even have a target OS that we will be targeting in future videos. Alright, and I think that's everything. So I thank you for joining, and I hope you all have a great night.